Thank you all very much for coming to Stone Soup Poetry tonight. It is a full house, probably two full houses and a couple of blackjacks tonight. And rightfully so. We have some amazing features tonight. So much so, I almost need an outline just to go over all this. The book you're going to hear from tonight is authored by three individuals. The name of the book is called Chalk Song, and I'm reposting it in the chat available through the Amazon site. Chalk Song is a collection of poems inspired by Werner Herzog's extraordinary documentary film Cave of Forgotten Dreams, which I think you can get on at least a couple of streaming sites. And this film focuses on the discovery of a cave full of Paleolithic art. I could totally pronounce that and didn't have to look that up. The three authors behind it, and you can wave if you like, Gale Batchelder, Susan Berger-Jones, and this is my first time meeting you, virtually or otherwise, so welcome. I'm so sorry we weren't able to hear you at Stone Soup before, but we did hear Gale and our third author tonight, Judson Evans, in a past feature. Both of them have a boilerplate worth of bragging rights and publication credits. I'll send the link to the Stone Soup so we can save ourselves some time. The Stone Soup page, because we have a lot of reading to do tonight, and we do have an open mic, and I do want to get to that. So to expedite this as best as possible, I do want to welcome those of you who are here for the first time as listeners. If you are interested in participating in the open mic, let me know. If you've been to Stone Soup before, I can assume that you might want to participate or that you have before. But if you want to make it clear that you're just listening tonight, you can put that in the chat as well. For those of you who are on, I wouldn't go too long tonight because, as I said, we have a wealth of poetry tonight to celebrate. And I'm going to get to the first person who was actually our feature the last time we were on at Stone Soup. Let us welcome up. I randomly assign people their open mic spots, so no one ever knows who's going to be the number one spot, mostly because no one ever wants to be the number one spot. So tonight we're going to give it to our worthy feature from last time. This is Mary Jennings. Whoops, I muted you by accident. I was trying to unmute you. There you go.
There. Yeah, I guess we just hit it at the same time.
Jinx.
Jinx, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I have a small developing collection called The Love Child Ballads. And this one is called The Ballad of Adulation. My fury, your emotional thrill. You latch on, but we don't connect. A seeker of easy inspiration, you are not prepared to feel the fire that has consumed me, not informed enough to bear the empathy you vocally proclaim. A piece of my history I shared does not make you the muse of its interpretation. Your songs of praise will feel foolish to you when you realize they were far off the mark, the source of discomfort, not gratitude. That will be your burning sensation until you face a terror of your own and arise through the strength found within you, not from icons of useless adulation and secondhand experience. If there is something to take from me, take this poem and swallow it hard. It will be painful, but you will survive. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. I recommend speaker view for maximum viewing pleasure, unless you want to catch me eating slices of meatless meat lovers pizza from Trader Joe's. As usual, I'm rushing tonight, but I had to get home. I'm so glad we were able to start this relatively on time. 7:15 is good in Poets time. Let's welcome up next to our open mic. I'm so glad, always glad to see him participate. Let's welcome up David Miller.
Thank you, Shad. Thanks, everybody. Okay, so this poem is titled The Bones. Without thinking, I find my fingers spread across my face. feel a framework supporting my canopy of skin. The planes, the arches, hinges, a central knoll, 2 kettle bowls, the full set of Yorick's teeth. The bones say, don't worry about your forehead furrows. Don't fret about your temple's mole-like spot. Don't be too obsessed about weed-wacky brows, raccoon eye rings, dimples you never liked anyway, gone to crevasses. Nostril hair you prune and hate. Keep up the fight, but don't make it your life's mission. All that is decoration. And that covering you wear, your scant melanin allotment, first thing anyone sees of you? Listen, how many more favors will that wrapper buy before it melts? We, the bones, care nothing for your fragile canopy.
Aces. Thank you so much, David. Let's see who we have next. Oh, yes, I handpicked from the ether, from the little imaginary hat with names. Let's welcome up Karen Sklanny, who is a, thank you, Jennifer. Let's welcome up Karen Sklanny, who is a frequent open micer here, at least since we've gone virtual, and was a past live participant, and now she's a contributor with photography to Oddball Magazine. Let's welcome up Karen. Karen might be away, or she might not have unmuted herself.
I have not unmuted myself. And unfortunately, or fortunately, there's a holly branch that's representing me at the moment, but not me there. I'm invisible.
That works.
So because of February, it's February. Thank you, Chad. Because it's February, I decided to write a collection of odes for the month of February. And the first one is an ode to Sky. Dear Sky, angel cat, blessing to our family, healing balm for our hearts in uncertain times. Your luscious fur is soft for our hands and faces to bring into. Petting you offers many moments of sweet meditation. Sky, we are fortunate to hear your meows greet us as we arrive home with the setting sun. When you move closer to us and snuggle your head to ours, we know you are happy to be with us too. You remind us to stop doing and rest, to pay attention to you and all the beloved people in our lives. Sweet kitty of ours, our pretty cat, your playfulness invites us to engage with the pure love of your friendship. You are the muse who sparks our creative energies for the work we have ahead of us, and then resting with you at the close of our days. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen, the talking leaf. I love that photo.
Thank you.
And let's see who we have next. No, I haven't seen him for a while. I'm going to assume that he might want to read tonight. So I'm just going to ask Mr. Chris Robbins if he'd like to. Looks like he does. So, ladies and gentlemen, the man who calls himself Aspie, or is this Spectrum Chris Robbins right now? Thank you, sir.
Spectrum Chris now. Thank you very much. Now, for my one poem today, I want to completely put to rest once and for all a fun part of mine and Stone Soup's past, namely the apocalyptic horseman. It's just that I think right now, because our me and Lee Lateef, because our number one, Lynn Stickler, who is our number one fan, sadly died a few years ago. With that in mind, I decided that it's time it's time for us to retire this apocalyptic horseman stuff gracefully. And that I want to give it With this poem, I want to give it a proper send-off. That's okay with you? So here is a dedication to George Carlin. It's called The Ratchet Batchet Chair. We gather in fucking remembrance of a bold comic who bombarded the Stepford landscape, making observations that are basically a cross between Animal Farm and Animal House. We honor the memory of George Carlin, who pointed out the truth that lurks under the hypocritical surface of fabricated politeness. We honor the memory of George's Western stories about a mean as a rattle penis villain who pulled out his prick and fucked a sheriff good and dead, putting a semen hole between his eyes. You don't hear shit like that no more. We honor his defiance and rage when he stomped on the puritanical pig-headed priests who punished consensual affection but pardoned rape. Because hey, that old boy network was asking for it. They'd never use bad words like penis when they use one to destroy your kid's life. And we honor his defiance and rage when we strike against the machine mentality of worn-out white racist patriarchy, as if to say, look at that caveman, go fuck himself. And we honor the memory of George Carlin when we goof on the groupthink mentality of conformist cocksuckers who are so fucking dumb, they stick up for the wife-beating uncle and protect the family child molester at all costs, but don't let the eccentric misfit or the learning disabled kid come play. We honor the man who fired off First Amendment wisdom with Second Amendment precision, and who treated sex jokes if they were wholesome family talk because, hey, it's how we get families in the first place, man. Absolutely. We salute the memory of George Carlin with a hearty ratchet batchet cheer. And there's the final bow of the apocalyptic horseman. Just want to send it off and put that to rest. And so I promise you all I won't be reading any more stuff like that on the Stone Soup platform. I just want to give it a proper send-off. That's all.
Thank you very much, Chris. And we're gonna get moving along. And it looks like we're joined. I think we were joined twice. I hope she's still on. Miss Jan Rowe, are you available?
It's a little rough.
No problem, Jan.
It's from the 1st of February's Black Seed Writers every Tuesday, 9:30 to 11, Cathedral St. Paul, Park Street, Road Hall basement. This is very rough. I got to talking with some other people and not much writing. It's called It's Just News, Good and Bad. There's no place left in the USA where one full-time job paying minimum wage pays the rent. Not a one. I was searching whether or not former legislators, now lobbyists, are allowed on the floor during votes. I remember Speaker of the House passing out money from tobacco corporations during a related vote on the floor. I didn't find that answer, but I found that some can lobby Congress without registering as lobbyists. There are about 500 big pharma lobbyists there's only 530 or so in Congress, 500 lobbyists from big pharma. And the war drums are beating, NBC makes weapons. The Koch brothers, they get $400 a gallon of gas by the time it gets to Afghanistan. I thought the Kochs got $40 a gallon for gas in the war regions, not 400. People who went to the same business school as Trump went think that the average American income is $800,000 when it's really $45,000. Looks like the Kochs have infiltrated that economics department. Also, Good news, good news. The Habitat for Humanity, they can now print 3D houses and construct them in record time using concrete, not needing the expensive, dwindling supply of lumber that also takes much longer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jan. I'm going to go to one of our phone participants. We do have a couple of people who don't have computer access, but reach us by phone faithfully every week. Let us welcome first Miss Nancy Dotson. All you have to do is press *6 and you're ready to go, Nancy. There you go.
Missed impressions, mist comes, dawn breaks on, dewdrops here everywhere, light pours into blurred eyes, the rainy mist comes, light breaks into dots, the flowers are in petals fall, mist comes, a rain torrent, leaves fall, one cannot see.
Thank you, Nancy. And up next, I'd love to welcome our past. He's a longtime listener, for not far from a first-time caller. He actually featured at Stone Soup, and you can check out his feature online via YouTube. Look up Mr. John Wesick.
Hi, Chad.
Hello.
You know, I don't understand America. 3,000 dead on the attacks on 9/11 was enough to send us to war for 20 years. But 3,000 or almost 3,000 dying every day from COVID isn't enough to make us wear a mask. So here's my latest rant about Joe Rogan and the anti-vaxxers. It's called If America Responded to 9/11 Like COVID. Jetliners fly into skyscrapers every day, devastating cities and killing thousands with each impact. By now, victims jumping from the 80th floor to escape fire and smoke is old news. Communications majors explain that breathing the fine white ash from corpses, jet fuel, and burning insulation is healthier than wearing a mask. Osama is the most popular name for babies born in 2002. The terrorist appears on talk shows explaining the crisis is a Jewish conspiracy. Backed by popular opinion, red state governors open free flight schools. No ID required. Classes on landing, optional.
Enough said. Or perhaps not enough said, because we do have other poets, a few more people before we get to our amazing feature. And thanks to everyone for keeping the work a little brisk today, because we got a lot of amazing work to hear and hopefully buy from Chalk Song the Book, the collection. Let's welcome up next on the open mic, Mr. Bill Lewis. Oh, there you are.
Why, thank you, Chad. Well, hello, everybody. Let me adjust myself. So I just got back from Hamilton, Bermuda. I was zooming to a Toastmasters meeting there not an hour ago, so I'm all excited and everything. And when COVID started, I was just obsessed about making sure that I was there. I was doing what I could. I was helping people recover and advance their lives. And now that things are better, and then my mission has become to remind people in this time what a wonderful world it really is, how good we have it. We panic so badly about many things. And so I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Louis Armstrong did not have such a wonderful world as we have, but he could see what was wonderful in it and bring it back to us. And that is what we are supposed to be doing in this time, looking at what we do have, looking at the glorious things our friends, our neighbors have done, how we have brought the world together. When I was 10 years old, my friends' parents had numbers tattooed on their arms from the concentration camps. We learned to duck and cover because it would protect us from the atomic bomb. I lived right outside of Washington, D.C., and on the 27th of October, 1962, Vasily Arkhipov, some guy, did not put his key into the launch panel, and World War III did not happen. The captain had his key in. The political officer was ready to launch, and one man did not start World War III. In the 77 years since the end of World War II, the world has incredibly been more peaceful than ever been. War, unbelievably, is virtually eliminated. We have so few violent deaths in the world today. We have it so good. We work hard to make it better, but we have to remember what a beautiful world we do have. And here in Boston, our Mayor Wu has ended homelessness as we knew it in Boston. I made her a sign. I marched up and down just to let her know how much we appreciated the fact that, yes, when you care, you can do things. When you care, you have power. All those things that we said they told us we couldn't do, we have done. The millennials are making money. They're buying houses. Life is better than it's ever been in the entire world. And we have to remember that even while it hurts, sometimes bad things happen. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of the people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Thank you very much, Bill. Let's see who I have next up on our, yes. Let us go now to our second phone participant, who I'm gonna help unmute. She's been with us since the very start of Stone Soup's online tenure. Let's welcome up the lovely Carol Weston.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, the title of my book is going to be Let Me Lie Down with the Lightning. And I have ambrosia in it. And I found out ambrosia is fed to the fiery horses, the sun's chariot. So my little poem goes, let me lie down with the lightning and suck the nectar and ambrosia worlds. The second one comes from a shamanic journey held at the Cambridge Friends with Matthew Calloway and Nancy O'Leary. Pegasus. I kissed his mouth, his giant tongue. Then I wrapped myself under his belly, my belly against his, and then I came up on his back. I was very scared to ride on his bare back so high, so fast, and I realized a great stability. And on his back, I rode to the sun, and I saw in a circle around the sun classical carved heads of the Greeks. Greek gods from the time that Pegasus was born. When the drum beat speeded up for us to return home from our journeys, I saw Pegasus lie down. Was he dead? No, he was giving birth.
Thank you, Nancy.
Bravo. Bravo once again, Carol. Thank you again. See you next time. She's still here. We're just going through the open mic, and looks like we have 2 more participants till we get to the to our feature, which I'm very excited about. Props to our missing music man, Ethan Mackler, who I guess is busy today. He usually gives us a musical accompaniment towards the end of the open mic, but today we are glad to have Mr. Chris Fitzgerald with another excerpt of his life story in poetry form, in poetic form. Let's welcome up Mr. Chris Fitzgerald. All you gotta do is unmute yourself, sir, and you're ready to go.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, 3 days last week, I sent 6 pieces out to 3 different places, New York, Boston, Berkeley. This is the letter of introduction. I went with all of them. I shall be sending you 3 poems. The first is a conventional. The other 2 I consider poems, but most people, because of their harmful education, would say they were poetic narratives at best. We are taught poetry by teachers and professors who I have found the only thing that they know about poetry is that they can't write it. They spell an empty filler line. Poetry shows you how often beautiful the moment in front of you is, not the moment behind you. Even if they're talking about something that happened 2,500 years ago. I shall utilize 3 of my favorite sentences from the English-American language, wrote and spoken in the last 100 years, to establish my worthiness. The first line is John Keats, not the poem, but in the letter to his sister. The excellence in every art is in intensity, capable of making all disagreeables evaporate from their close relationship with beauty and truth. The second is Walt Whitman, also not the poem. America itself is the best poem. Third, D.H. Lawrence. It was the title of one of his poems. The poem itself is ridiculous.
I think we lost Mr. Fitzgerald in the, I think he's coming back again. So we're going to see what's happening. We'll give him a couple of seconds. If we're not able to hear him, we'll go to
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
I like John Keats, Whitman, D.H. Lawrence would take one Martin Luther King Jr. over 3 to 4 quadrillion scumbagian Shakespearean actors. Romeo, Romeo, where art thou? Oh, Juliet, I'll show you my eye and you both kiss it. Thank you. So it wasn't too clear?
We'll work on it next week.
Can't hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you now. There was some kind of weird jump, but we'll work on that next time. But I do appreciate you. I keep getting it all this. I'm gonna have to mute you because now you're coming in. You're coming in. You're coming in. Please mute yourself, Chris, because I can't. Okay, he's gone again. He'll be back. We're gonna close out the open mic with the help of our penultimate closer. His name is James Van Looy. And Mr. Van Looy is not only a longtime Stone Soup participant, both live and online, he's also a contributor to Oddball Magazine. For any of you aspiring poets or established poets who are looking for places, check out oddballmagazine.com and check out this person's, what I call his poetry column. There's a couple of them on Oddball, and his is the longest running one. It's called It's All One Thing, and it publishes every Thursday morning without fail at 11 in the morning. Let's welcome up and close out with Mr. James Van Looy.
Yeah. So I have a piece here called, this is called Revolutionary Times. The screen world cut the universe in half like a French guillotine. Revolutionary act falling on necks of silent generation, birthed into depression and world war, overflowing crisis, genocide, and atomic bombs, while we were born in the shock wave, resonating already to next blast of already developing and employed, in fact, imperial empire, passing the torch while we were abiding the psychic touch of television, black and white and then color, old enough to remember first sight and young enough to be fully dosed, actually impressed, so impressionable by those beaming electron automatic shooters of streaming light on phosphor screen of ever-evolving visual play, which was us, all of us, a year, generation, out on the very techno tip of the crashing down wave of change, taking over the world. So no wonder we rebelled when they started drafting us right on graduation day for Vietnam, the screen world of modern war, cut the world in half. Revolutionary, screen, guillotine, just like a prophecy of digital divide to come in our middle-aged cosmos after the generation gap of youth. And let me sing a quick little song here. I'll just sing this is a Dutch song by Father Abraham, and it's called Tussen Krugen en Kirken, between the bar and the church. Tussen Krugen en Kirken is er weinig verschil. Van drinken en bidden maakt alle twee stil. Je drinkt dan je zonde bij drink en gebed. Iedereen heeft daar ooit wel een footstep gezet. Thank you.
Thank you, James, and thank you to everyone who participated on the open mic. And now it is time for our feature presentation. And thanks to everyone for their patience, and it is well worth the wait. And this is a great feature to be part of. We're getting some likes and some props from people who are viewing us live on Facebook. For those of you who have gone to Stone Soup Live back when it was live, and hopefully will be again, you might remember, I think it was all the way back in 2016 when Gale Batchelder and Judson Evans were mentioning a collaboration of poems that they were working on with Susan Berger-Jones called Chalk Song. This was just the spark of an idea, and I loved the idea, just as I love an idea of a series of any of Werner Herzog's documentaries or films could use a book of poems attached to it. And this is an amazing idea, based on a documentary of cave paintings. I loved what I heard, and I told myself I would always feature, this book when it came out. In late 2021, Chalk Song did come out. I'm going to repost it. If you have a few shekels, please, at the very, very least, consider buying Chalk Song after tonight. And for those of you who have the book already, you know that it was a great choice. For those of you who have heard the poems before, you still know you're in for a treat tonight. I've been following this trio's work. Even though I hadn't met Susan, I am familiar with Off the Park Press and had the honor of being published alongside them and many other poets in The Triumph of Poverty. And I'm so glad Lily Poetry Review Press finally grabbed this book and published it. I don't know if it's Lily Poetry Review Press or Lily Poetry Press, but either way, I'll call them whatever they want and add a few other Lilies to it. Their legacy is solidified with the publishing of this and other books to come, and it's great that we have a local press like this, and it's great we have this night to hear the fruits of their labor in one fell swoop. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to forego the boilerplate biographies and let these poets introduce themselves to their work. Put your hands together virtually, pantomimically, 30, 40 times for Gale Batchelder, Susan Berger-Jones, and Judson Evans and their collection Chalk Song.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Chad, for having us back and for your support along the way. It's been a great ride getting this book to print. You can see the cover is behind me, and gosh, Chad, I'm just remembering all those wonderful poetry salons at Ron's and et cetera. Anyway, it brings me back. So we're not going to give a long intro, but just a couple of words. Yes, the book was inspired by the Werner Herzog film that led to a journey of sort of, research and discovery and conversation. I would say that I would describe this collaboration as a conversation among poets, and really among the filmmaker and the scientists who were exploring the cave, and the artists and the cave itself and the animals and so on. But our method of collaboration was to write a poem and share it with the others, and we would comment on each other's poems, we would steal from each other, we would steal from the comments that people made about our poems. So each of the poems is written wholly by one of us. These aren't collaborative poems, but so that's a little about our method. And if Susan and Judson, I want to jump in and just add anything to our process or about the book, jump in right now. No?
Well, I think I would just say that the three of us first started working together in a workshop with John Yao in New York City, and that was really a foundational experience, I think, for us in many ways in thinking about writing poetry inspired by art, ekphrastic poetry. But I think we became interested in moving beyond ekphrastic poetry, writing about painting, with this film, and it took us in so many different directions. Gale mentioned that a little bit about our method, but I think it's interesting to mention that we would write a poem, someone among us would borrow gestures or phrases from that poem, and then we might edit that out of our own poem. And so things moved between the three of us. We created, in a sense, a kind of language that we shared with each other. And I think that was one of the most exciting things in creating this kind of joint vocabulary.
Yeah, that's nice, Judson. I'll just add that also we were just stunned by the unfamiliarness of these paintings, but also of the familiarity of them. And then on some level, writing at the edge of understanding on some level. And what do you gain by doing that as a poet, to really play with that edge? So yeah, it's really happy to be here too.
Great. All right, we're going to start with the first three poems in the book. Chauvet Pont d'Arc. I am dark and near dying. I want you to tell only the light in my fur, bright as fire. Cut as with teeth in char and blood, spooning shapes, a defile between hills, side by side on both or all feet at once, in steps that cannot be mistaken, across the crumble of sheaves, red palm alone with crooked finger, an abrupt, a shiny echo, the color of snow.
Mind in the cave. If I've pulled free, I still find the shadow on your side of the bed. You were the preventable accident, shaman at the core of sediments, flickering projectionist. When you sang, there was no room in the world but listening. Voice over stanches the nick and smear, where we'd kneel in the mud when glass curtain walls were gone, press votives of clay and quartz into fissures, live images congealed. Clicking your tongue, counting rhyme for the myth there ever was an outside. You'd forgotten the way out, chambers folded back in the score, to see what you might unleash from me. Swiss Army knife, panicked, open. just as the eye was reinvented many times, first as brittle star. We would see through our skin and couldn't sleep, so much seeping into us as we broke into islands. Where do our fingers end and flames begin? You taught me how the world retracts to a city of words, scuffed to rubble with your heel. Time depths, several fresh starts, burials and exhumations below touch or reach or accusation. You offered a hand from the other side of death, its seal of red impact, its crooked thumb.
Paper sky. Ink wounds the sky, full of swallows, filling the weather with dusk. Our cities are also surrounded by revolution's fur as the weather is mobbed by our elbows. Of chiaroscuro and aquaprint in this furry place. Nothing to do but sit like handprints to listen to our flowers in flight, noting the daffodils and sunsets where the people sleep, as if one could draw them as slim as rainbows in this slight palace glued by winter's dust. We all feel too vulnerable dressed only in blue crayon, from arias to nudes scalloped night long.
Sun made blue. If dusk could talk, water walk, all red then. We wear white undone, all our shoes mud, sand in our tunes, organ water pipes, sprinting into the news, hand over foot tumble. So many secrets, the holy ones seeping through sheer. We giant across the land, green hours. Open the shutters, close the shutters. No one watching the backs marked X. As though we could walk a hand outstretched. The race of sepia against stone. Wheels up, our hair aflame and our skin chalked.
Codex collapse syndrome. We sandbag the ventricle leak of ancient light to restore halos to the right objects, freezers, turn signals, microwaves. Everything is early, spry with milt, the delicate climate of arrival. Drafts of air so narrow, our ears fold back their sounds. Comb over psalms smelt muzzles from the overlap of horse heads. Music can't caress itself by these long playing lassos. Contour before line, overtones before the molten bell of an opening. We are sphinx cubs in our hiding places. The sky on our skin still unhewn, are scribbled brochures of lightning. Without provisions, a more vulnerable hibernation, a species liable to the same bad dreams. Then thrash and release, the fan of landlocked arms, quicklime sparks each loaded cloud or brush. Anyone can draw a blue bead on the GPS, forking river for the vector home, or carve a new nipple for the salt lick continent.
My tattoo parlor. By the end of the Iron Age, I was gliding off the tundra, bouncing from my sugary afterbirth. I thought that the belly of my mother had held me, but no, she had simply stenciled me into her underpants. Her wounds made many cuneiform rounds after I was born, so I was gentle with her. I drew blue skies over her storms. I hopped in and out of her song. One day she ate winter, and then drank the sea. I asked the sea, will my heart clog the inside of a cockle shell? Will I learn to eat without mauling sunlight? Am I made of bird gas, airy and fresh? The more I threw the sky into my eyes, the more the earth blued. The more I hummed to blue, the more raindrops shattered. Stars fell to each side of the pond as if light was icing for our universe. I fluttered away past currents and ferns under sudden downpours flooded with fur, soft jewels soaked in the shades. It was blueberry season. I laugh now as the sky still spreads long, tangled with crows and summer sediment. Bare leaves loop through base elements in a mess of mouse stew. I dress in moo-moos of endless clover.
Was a river from above, cliff falling in white and scrub. You forage filament in a backlit crowd of rounded limbs, severed as though torn by bombs. An embrace, a gouge between legs, while the giant gesticulates over the plexiglass box. You want to flee on animated flicker. Now the white-gloved butler offers the pale wooden coffin for a bone flute, its spine scored across the axis, as though force of song could hold a body erect. Watching, eyes rolled back, sockets bright as overflow. Always you, the guardian, lamp black, marred and cleft, a basket of horns, press of cheek to neck, tooth to flank, your jaw slack. There will be a helmet like a bear skull to protect your instruments.
Stringed somehow. The jars are on fire. Somewhere the night has flown. Names no longer come in choruses. We are girdles for June. Our hands are dust sisters, somehow still in arms. As furious beams or mighty hues, never heard of again inside burrows. We walk down streams like dawn misters. We blow away 1,000 drawn swans. Sometimes blurbs line our lint barracks to draw dusk with paw paint rain.
The next poem is a shaped poem, and I'm going to share the poem on the screen. Well, as play is pronounced pleasure or predation, butcher paper kite of laughter, our organs from the tuning fork of spine to balsa clef of shoulders, practicing the attack, fingers on the gut, as bow is Stradivarius and sling blade, the concert hunting band or four-hand rapture remains the afterimage of waste or fossil, and you embrace the wall where you were drawn out. All the athletics of coming to rest, putting yourself on for so long, brace against the nothing your body had become, its own lever, taut sinew, as cast is propulsion and frozen torque, all the various rafts of the Medusa. You taught me static sends outlets haywire, sapping our strength. Before we had to multiply the grindstone world, whittle one upright stem against another, how many parts are there? How can one flesh unhand itself, arc from the heartwood with taut string theory, or find its fingering, knock to nipple, the thinking body turning, turned to stone?
First day. You polish 1,000 umber windows, wet transfer of inktails and horse bramble you call broken, blue eyes, steel hurt in places like harbor, land bridge, or car door. You have flown by handwritten pages, telling us the lanky one, rimmed in rust, messages, whole choruses, when acrid scent of trapped air becomes camera and light. Heft will uncurl shoulders, unbuckle the experiment. Collecting landmass and snowmelt, we carry scuff and hum.
I do that all the time. I have to introduce this one a little bit. I think there's a point in the movie where Herzog is referring to who we are now versus, where the people who painted these paintings were. And he refers to mutant crocodiles that are the result of a nuclear power plant down the road from Chauvet. So this one's called Albino Crocodile Radiant Mermaid. From an arithmetic internal hide to various sea braids, low around mossy slopes, lying in mounds of mouse, there they are. A beginning for spark plugs I calcite taboo in the room of my molt muzak. I am the gut and snail of sun, a whim-sized dirt arc, a hypnotic lily. Pruning that I want to arc you for your napalm birds, bright voles inside magnetic petal. Where the bladder world paraphrases fascicles, rut through wolf oceans. To color a scene with scale, so full of moth light that my dome opens to fall out next to this glowworm.
Dower Stage. This poem has an interesting origin. I was working on the poem and my computer crashed, and I used the error message as the refrain. Dower stage. And the dower stage is a dormant stage when an organism cannot get enough nourishment in its environment and it goes dormant. Dower stage. Changes have been made to the global template. Would you like to save the changes? Stanching honey from the leaking migration. Heat shock antenna on the pollen wind. Laying of provisions in the dark fat of storage, amber and salt. Changes have been made without your omnipotence. Corrupting the signal, molt by molt, defacing the margins of information, numb-tongued among dialects, calling down the fallout of birds. Releasing the resemblances, wing angle through willow cord, in the fork-head transcription of panic and lure, layover of flaws toward the fjord night of chanting. Changes have been made to the mandrake genome outbreak. Would you like to save the changes? By apps and echoes, by choosing our receivers, nanosecond intervals of mast and turnstile foraging the crossed out transept of nests. Changes have been made to the global template of bricolage. Do you want to save the changes? By crosstalk pathways pooled around a syllable, a whole note's motility without risers or trailers, staying at convergence on the dark bark of your knees. Changes have been made to deep configuration. Are you saved in the changes?
So the middle of the book, we sort of saw as more scientific part or dealing with the scientists. There's a perfumer, there's all kinds of investigations going on in this cave. And I have a few poems called field entries, taking snippets from what scientists might find. And this one's called By Fire. So they're all cut off, they're all burned. Of space rather than radiant movement, flicker while variations of its second growth. 10 millimeter of suggested responsivity, so smeared apparent under the angle. Of thickness to startle, often ox. One species after another's, 5 vapors, 2 from undiscovered. The obstetrical calendar lilt, to and fro as a tall spectrum, now boxed, snow. Radius to equivalencies surface. Progenitor, incidental beyond musk. Missing from a geological blue. Silent watercolor per wavelength. Tense sky.
You're muted, Gale.
Trying not to cough on everyone. Okay, thank you. Dear studio anthropologist, why must the end always come quickly? And where would a question remain? All remnants are orphan voice, red thrall, ice tundra psalm, no echo in a vacuum. Have you asked your shamans, your shadow dancers, your fissure scratchers, if they wish their cirrus white or what is walking? Let footsteps scar, grass slacken. We recommend dot and crosshatch ascending the round tower, a hint of the brink inscrolled on desert shards. Hymn, chatter, passage. Why does the heroine vamp and rag for her voice thought lost over limber pine and quaking aspen? Her milk of marrow, her throne luster. Will their days, risen bitter or even bright yellow, end fragmentary? Tell us, iridescent, whisper, membrane. Truly and ever yours.
Neanderthal bromance. You were always wrapped in your story like a beggar in his lice-infested clothes, voice to careless voice like a game of telephone. Your backpack of tricks like sumac across your shoulders, a hair's breadth of wry inflection. Push the rock from the cave's mouth, you said, into the river, and their days, tongue to ass, will circle like bugs on a jar. I've started to accumulate your syndromes, worm casts of song. The lanky swagger thickens to buttress, to bridge. Your seabird kit of voices schools to drawl in my harbor. You taught me half your shtick, axe-head butterflies, cormorant kilt and dowsing rod, starship mood ring of double-cross. How could you make a career of this, choose load-bearing walls over spinnakers? You warned me we might need tamping irons to sever our hemispheres, cache the deposit on flint cores, invent game shows. Still, I want to try on all your masks, see through your tree ring bullseye. You promised to keep me in your etch-a-sketch, not scatter my dust bowl particles. Now, rewritten by snow melt, you're too hard to detect. Are you still nodding uphill, populating spreadsheets with raptor bones? Put on the horse bramble glasses, all the ruined father falling out of the eye sockets.
This poem takes as its title a line from a Dashiell Hammett novel, and it has the word morning in it, but that's morning with a U. They had as morning an impromptu air. Before meteor shower and moon landing are rinsed away, Waterproof yourself with sweet almond oil. Wake here and here. After long, loose sleeping, flank to flank, imagine you are an ant walking across the surface. Echo lilt of vermilion, ambercot fire. Swagger through foxglove into caves across dunes. In stolen words and cloud forms, praising the chipped away savior. Keep waiting for chalk song.
Drag racing with dust particles. Please don't zip me to the stars. I've hemmed enough light. I'm simply eye hurt in this trapped glare. The thousands took the daffodils away. The octaves have run. I stutter through 1930s talkies as if being waterproof was verboten, as if time was an igloo. As evenings fill with wet sacks of meandering meadow, I dip white bed sheets into the songs of a violet universe. Rendered pockets wash away before my tail comes to its argyle love. I raid musked galaxies through Farina skies. Oh, the root of beauty is so tender and camera shy, just like a splash of April showers. Dear Guppy, make more sneakers as tufty as grass. Make more sparrow, morning dove. Make more skeleton, sunflower. I wish I were a diphthong on a lily night where the farkleberries still look blue. But when will my diamond Milky Way deluge the holes in heaven? Sometimes I think I could reach out and become a dust pillow. Sometimes I want to sit inside pond and misspell infinity.
Say, you say there isn't water enough or blue enough. There was one red sun, there were many. You remember a home for stars, so close they could nuzzle your open hand, your wishes dulled by overuse, the season so white and cold, white and white. Start with a scratch of stick against skin or bone, a gift of ghost and memory, your voice calling out to hold your place across the dark. You say there will always be new footprints in sand, a home for sorrow. Yet how many stars have already died? And who would know differently? Who could say? Or start with a girl holding a doll, mosquito buzz in her ear as she lay in her bed one hot green summer dusk, fretting insect revenge if she dared to kill one, and choking on a song. She will find new ways to conjure and record. Will say that the ancient ones held spark in their mouths, spit silhouettes onto cave walls, carried scuff and hum. She will ask what it means to hold a thing or a person, to bear witness when the only view out her window is of more windows, looking back, both mirror and opening, or when an eye is carved into stone, lidless. She will say that she didn't dream about anyone, but there is always tonight.
Elegy in the Bevel. You were always the laugher, ripper out of leaves before the last pages, nothing in reserve. Catenaries of spider silk connect the land bridge between us. I call you arrow, you call me lens. You tie back the unlaced contrails as cloud patches unfold your shoulders. Warped timbers surround the launch site, scorched stages in the brambles of gravity. You call me corner, I call you ledge. You polish your fingers against the window until they lose their superstitions of wanting and spending. One curlew mark where the wall becomes sieve. I call you axle, you call me stem. You humor me by understudies and stammers, the farce of your hiding, poppy seed pressed into parables. You call me screen door, I call you sail. You are messaging in loops. When I look to the space you left, the stars fold back on their hinges.
Last day of the experiment. How I learned to hieroglyph, listening to cave walls, intervals on the treble scale, an epidemic scatter, stammering uphill. I never wanted roar of red, falsified sins, 600 thread count. Humor me with a broken clock. Pass me the glare of a fitful moon, freshly nicked. Unpearl the sweat-encrusted string, for I will call you drawl. You can call me dust bowl.
Hunted cirrus. Perhaps it is okay that we love capsized swans, housed in moonlit cages, the way floodlights drift, in and out of opaline shotcuts, shadow and football, lavender and commotion. What else do we know? The very essence of years is the way errata blooms, sputtered through silent films, whether or not the landscape is painted by hopscotch. A river's name descends from parlor games. The boats are always dusty, folded inside crooked fingers. Slow paper currents make starlets, too beautiful to be stand-ins. Inside loose lullabies, a child is torn from her daguerreotype. The movie is a nest of clouds, still waiting for the moon's crayon cue. If only our arms would stand still as we crawl past hired groomers. The armies beyond barbed wire fencing might halt to smell flowers, where the ground is an orgamist. The fields are strewn, sometimes with charcoal horses, sometimes with clover.
And the last, the final three poems. One bloomed, one fell from a tree. One bloomed a blue praise of daybreak. We were led to dig stars out from under pavement, tar hot, smelt, stinging our eyes. Stories moved in from the margins, birdwing, halo, landlock. You lifted saffron from the crown of an acorn, crayoned negative handprint to tongue. Tell me again in crosshatch, ladder pulled up, river renamed vein. One fell from a tree.
Mutt dark, that's D''ARC. Mutt dark. To say go-go mouse. To say cowboy mutt. To say we are lying in a muddle, wearing mongrel bunny ears with mossy doggy spurs near spotted snowcaps. To say the pants in this room are the high-heeled moss toss that happens here, under margins and eaves, under spurred ceilings, that we are all dishes for the moon as custard donkeys accumulated inside snowshoe tenderness. We are sparrows spreading fender loss. Our stars are on the lark, even when the moon is our mildew. We are the dark's plasterers, a bossy pail of consternations, floating in saucy rain showers, fingering stenoed oceans, just to say, there will always be spare tomorrows because our ants lie on antlers, just as antlers lie on pool girls. Even the stars have pool girls, throwing parties with spare marrow, with racy jackalopes wearing mule waders with that eavesdrop on dust barrels as wide as our hips' bottomless secretarial pools. We are sealed envelopes, wearing rented tuxedos, mooning for stardust around a margin Saskatchewan. With frou-frou, we pose with tulips, just to say, tutu turtle, to say, slip upon swallow.
Microbiome. We have sealed rooms already contaminated by our thought, setting up lab in the midst of our imprint. Did you put your face shield on, which is nothing more than surface and overflow? Did you pocket the telescope arm of your action, arson, sequestration? What we found was more than ancient echo, spotted horses, or starfish symmetry. One of the things that won't tame, that won't translate, won't cooperate, won't draw itself because the mirror will never be invented, because escape hatches, exit ramps will never be invented. We were already there at the source of contamination. The altar was the first machine, already irritable for the more, the making means of, the fallen soft ceiling of spores the size of whims, the most auspicious antlers as candelabra, as time capture, as whole flash fiction. We did not set out to study cave art or hang ourselves from the cave mouth. The guts of the question contained the bacterial answers. One of the things that won't be rendered innocent, innocuous, one of the things that won't be renditioned. You can't draw yourself out of the rock. The footprints collapse into deeper footprints. We have sealed the rooms. There will be no further questions. Thank you.
Get your applause emojis out. Let's hear it for Gale, Susan, and Judson for an amazing feature.
Bravo! Woo! Author!
It's 3 authors, Bill.
Great feature. Wonderful poetry.
Thank you.
Wow. After all that, after the culmination of all that work, I can't help but ask if there's another project underway for the three of you already.
We keep talking about it, but we haven't landed on one yet. So,
what's the closest you've come to a different idea?
What?
Have you spitballed any ideas on what the next subject would be? Have you narrowed it down to like 5 or 10?
Maybe 20.
Yeah.
I don't know. We have one idea about maybe writing about, Judson, how did we describe that? Spaces between, sort of?
In-betweenness. We have a sort of Whitman project that we've put on hold, but this in-betweenness idea. But we work together. We work together every week, so we have we're constantly playing with ideas.
Well, I wish you all luck in whatever the next project is, and when another book comes out, we'll definitely feature it here.
Good. Well, we're gonna get cracking on it.
Take your time. We got all the time in the world, but I do want to thank the 3 of you again, and I've relinked the link to buy the book via Amazon. If any of you have any other donation Venmos or PayPals that you want to send to me, and I will share those on the Stone Soup website and elsewhere. But definitely, I encourage everyone to buy the book and support these authors. Support their books from Off the Park Press, which I believe are also available via Amazon. They've come out with some they've come out over the years with some great anthologies that definitely deserve to be supported as well, and definitely check out all their individual works.
Thank you.
That are out there and that are forthcoming. This was a fantastic night, and I thank you guys for taking the time to do this, and I congratulate you again on all your efforts.
Well, thank you so much for your generosity, Chad. You've been such a great supporter of our work, and we really appreciate everything that you do, and love Stone Soup, and hope to get back in person sometime soon. And friends, thank you so much for coming tonight. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and Chad, I've heard so much about you, so I'm glad to finally meet you and see you in person. Well, sort of in person.
Absolutely. Don't be a stranger.
I have a request. When Chad posts this live in Facebook, would you guys add to that conversation a link to your book?
Oh, I already posted. I posted the link to the book in the chat.
Yeah. Well, chat, it goes away, right? So,
well, you can save it, but I'll send you a link as well. And also, when I post a picture from the night and the video, I'll also post a link to the book as well.
Oh, great! Thank you. Fabulous.
And with that. After amazing reading, I can't wait to go over this reading tomorrow. We do the obligatory wave to everyone, to the features, to each other, and to those watching out there in the land. And then we stop waving because otherwise, all the photos. If I do a still shot, it just looks like this. So thank you all very much, and thanks again, especially again to Judson, Gale, and Susan. Definitely buy the book. More features to be announced. If there's anyone who liked this atmosphere of Stone Soup, we're going to do our best to meet every Wednesday for the rest of the year, barring any other illnesses, and we'll play it by ear as to whether or not we're going to meet anytime soon. We still have a venue open in the Seaport area. We have not taken advantage of that yet for obvious reasons, but when we do, we'll let you know, and we'll figure out a way to make it both remote and live. We'll figure out a way. And plus I have space in my living area that's finally opening it up and being available to us to rent out. So there's ways to do it. Boston's becoming very expensive, very hard to get, very dance party post Zoom. Yes, Bill, we'll work on that. You can bring the dance. But hopefully more announcements will be coming. And I want to thank everyone for coming tonight, and we appreciate your time. We appreciate the author's time. So it can be like this every week. All we need is you. And have yourselves a very good night, and enjoy the rest of the week, and please stay safe.
Thank you again. Good night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.